The Board of Directors. Part A. Assess the major areas of organisational life affected by issues in governance. 1. Duties of directors and functions of the board, including setting a responsible tone from the top and being accountable for the performance and impact of the organisation. 2. The composition and balance of the board and board committees. 3. Relevance and reliability of organisation reporting and external auditing. 4. Directors' remuneration and rewards. 5. Responsibility of the board for risk management systems and internal control. 6. Organisation social responsibility and ethics. The board is collectively responsible for promoting the success of the company by directing and supervising the company's affairs. The board provides entrepreneurial leadership of the company within a framework of prudent and effective controls, which enables risk to be assessed and managed. The board should also set the company's strategic aims, ensuring that the necessary financial and human resources are in place for the company to meet its objectives and review management performance. In order to be effective, boards should have a formal schedule of tasks. The following shows what this could include: monitoring the Chief Executive Officer, overseeing strategy, monitoring risks, control systems and governance, monitoring the human capital aspects of the company, e.g. succession, morale, training, remuneration, etc. Managing potential conflicts of interest. Ensuring that there is effective communication of its strategic plans, both internally and externally. Boards should meet regularly and frequently in order to be effective and need to take sufficient time to fulfill these responsibilities. The following issues should be considered regarding board membership, such as size. Balance needs to be struck between the benefits of having varied views and opinions alongside the need for coherence of decision-making. Inside or outside mix. The split between executive decision-making directors and non-executive directors. Independent non-executive directors have a key role in governance. Their number and status should mean that their views carry significant weight. Diversity mix. In terms of gender, ethnicity, backgrounds, experience, etc. Part B. Evaluate the cases for and against unitary and two-tier board structures. A unitary board is a board structure with only one board of directors. Advantages. All participants have equal legal responsibilities for management of company and performance. Promotes easier cooperation and coordination. Presence of non-executive directors leads to better decision-making. Independent non-executive directors are part of decision-making and have access to information. Disadvantages. Non-executive director or independent director cannot play the role of both manager and monitor. Time requirement of a non-executive director may be onerous. No specific provision for employee representation on board. Emphasises the divide between the shareholders and the directors. Multi-tiered board structure could have 2 or 3 tiers and have a variety of representation while separating the executives from other directors and senior management. Multi-tier approach can take the following form. Supervisory board with executives function, reviews the company direction and strategy and safeguarding stakeholders' interest. Management or executive board composed of executive directors or managers responsible for running the business. Advantages. Clear and formal separation of duties. Boards have the capacity to be an effective guard against management inefficiency. Should take account of the needs of stakeholders other than shareholders, specifically employees. Encourages transparency within the company, between the boards and through supervisory boards to the employees and the shareholders. Disadvantages. Confusion over authority and lack of accountability can arise. Management board may restrict the information passed on to the supervisory board, and the boards may only liaise infrequently. Supervisory boards may not be as independent as would be wished, depending on the appointment procedure. Members of supervisory boards can be representatives of shareholders. Part C. Describe and assess the purposes, roles, responsibilities and performance of non-executive directors, NEDs. Non-executive directors, NEDs, have no executive or managerial responsibilities or power. Their primary function is to consider and safeguard the interests of shareholders. NEDs play a key role in reducing conflict of interest between management and shareholders by providing balance to the board. They also bring an independent viewpoint since they are not full-time employees. Role of non-executive directors includes contributing to and challenging the direction of strategy, scrutinise the performance of management in meeting goals and objectives, and represent the shareholders' interest to ensure agency issues. NEDs should satisfy themselves that financial information is accurate and financial control and systems of risk management are robust. Responsible for determining the appropriate level of remuneration for executives and key figures in appointment and removal of senior managers. Part D. Describe and assess the importance and execution of induction and continuing professional development of directors on boards of directors. Board of directors should develop skills and widen their knowledge base continuously to remain effective in office. From the first day in office, once recruited, a director will then require induction training which helps them to understand the organisation's business and markets and different stakeholders. Continuing professional development should cover different topics to cover multiple issues on a regular basis. Topics could be related to strategic planning, financial management, human resource issues, risk management, legal and regulatory issues, and audit practice and procedures. Part E. Explain the meanings of diversity and critically evaluate issues of diversity on boards of directors. Diversity means having different or distinct elements. In an organisation, diversity can mean having people who may be different from each other in terms of background, origin, physical appearance, religion, education, age, gender, ethnicity, etc. Diversity issues are becoming very important while forming the board. Board has to ensure that representation for each section should be there while maintaining the balance of expertise and experience. Many academic studies have shown that better corporate governance practices, complemented with diverse backgrounds, help companies in attaining better financial results. Diversity issues can also be addressed by putting quotas, but many times it questions the purpose of having quotas if a person is there only because of quota and not for their contribution to the board. Part F. Assess the importance, roles, purposes and accountabilities of the main committees within the effective governance. Main board committees play an important role in the governance of organisations. These board committees work with board's subcommittees, which are responsible for supervising specific aspects of governance. Main board committees are Audit Committee, which is responsible for liaising with external audit, supervising internal audit, and reviewing the annual accounts and internal controls. Remuneration Committee, which advises on executive director remuneration policy and the specific package for each director. Nominations Committee has the responsibility for recommending the appointments of new directors to the board. Risk Committee is responsible for overseeing the risk management of the company. Part G. Describe and assess the general principles of remunerating directors and how to modify directors' behaviour to align with stakeholder interests. Purposes for remunerating directors are attracting and retaining the best possible talent and motivating them to achieve the performance standards which are in the shareholders' best interests and their personal interests. Below factors need to be considered while agreeing the remuneration package for the directors: fixed and variable elements, cash and non-cash elements, immediate and deferred elements, long-term and short-term elements. Remuneration Committee usually determines the organisation's general policy regarding remuneration of executive directors. This policy should be independently agreed and transparently disclosed to stakeholders for greater chance of approval. Directors' behaviour can align by connecting their significant portion of rewards to measurable business performance or enhanced shareholder value. The Remuneration Committee should be alert to the risk of remuneration levels rising with no corresponding improvement in the organisation's performance. Part H. Explain and analyse the regulatory, strategic and labour market issues associated with determining directors' remuneration. While finalising the Remuneration Committee needs to consider regulatory factors and financial condition of the organisation so that it does not cross the difference multiple between highest and lowest paid. Labour market factors also need to be carefully watched while setting remuneration. This can be done with the help of outside consultants, market surveys and industry benchmarks. While setting remuneration, the committee may also need to see the availability of recruits which meets the requirement. If they find very less qualified people, they can offer remuneration which might help them in attracting that talent.